Hi, I'm Natalia Levy and welcome to today's episode. I'm thrilled to be on your screen today and we'll be talking about making super easy, super fast kale chips. But before we actually get to cooking, let's chat a little bit about the nutritional properties of kale. Kale is a beautiful leafy green and it's also part of the cruciferous family, which means that it's cousins with cabbage and turnip greens and mustard greens. And it also means that it has beneficial properties for fighting with cancer, just like the other cruciferous vegetables. Kale, did you know that it goes back with its roots, time-wise, hopefully not, not that we are farming the kale, that has been planted back in ancient Rome. Also, an interesting fact is that kale has 3 times more calcium than phosphorus. And if you are actually having any kind of thyroid issues, eating any vegetables like kale or any cruciferous family vegetables is not beneficial for you in its raw form. So if you have a thyroid issue, don't eat kale or cabbage or Brussels sprouts in its raw form. However, if you are cooking your cruciferous vegetables, that destroys that compound that causes trouble with your thyroid. I hope that you find this helpful. So kale comes in different varieties, and today we'll be working with this beautiful curly kale, and we will be roasting it to make delicious kale chips. So let's get started on our kale. I have my oven already preheated at 425 degrees. So the best way to take the kale off the stalk is we're going to just kind of come down and we're going to separate it into these about this size leaves so that we know that they're about bite-sized, or how I wouldn't make them too big, but I wouldn't make them too small either because they will crumble in the baking process. You just kind of peel the leaves off the stem. You don't want to eat the stem because it's really hard and not pleasant to eat. So we're gonna take the leaves off, dry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take this kale. Now our kale is nice and dry. We're going to take our baking sheet. I do recommend putting a piece of parchment paper at the bottom of your baking sheet just so that the kale doesn't stick to the baking sheet. So now we spread everything out in a single layer. If you still see any kind of moisture, use a paper towel to just get rid of all the excess moisture, because if you have any moisture in here, that's what's going to make your chips soggy, and we do not want soggy chips. We want them to be yummy and crispy and delicious. Okay, the next step here is we are going to drizzle some olive oil. And the key here is not to oversaturate, because again, if we oversaturate the olive oil, we are going to end up with very soggy chips, which we don't want. So just a drizzle of olive oil, and then I like to add a little bit of salt to give it extra yummy flavor. And the next step is really, you can use your imagination or use your taste buds. You can add some pepper to this. You can add Italian seasoning so that you will have sort of a Tuscan style kale chips. Or I have this 21 seasoning salute. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know that it's one of my favorite go-to seasonings. So we'll put that on. You can even make your kale chips a little spicy. You can add some different seasonings for that, or even paprika. So now we just toss everything around, just so that the chips that your kale leaves are very lightly coated with oil and some seasoning. And we'll spread them out in a single layer here. And we are going to put them in our preheated oven at 425 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes. And what we're looking for is that nice crispness. So I would start checking about after 12 minutes. All right, so my timer just went off. Let's check this out. And this is the beauty of cooking on really high temperature for a shorter time. Our chips are nice and ready, and they're perfectly crispy. Look at this, absolutely stunning. Now let's taste this baby. Oh my God, the crunch is incredible. So now let's talk about the storage of the kale chips. Once the temperature completely goes down, once these are completely cooled, you are going to want to use a paper bag versus a plastic bag for the storage of these. And just kind of loosely close it on the top so that they'll stay nice and crunchy and crispy, because that's the texture that we love so much about the kale chips. And if they do get a little bit on the soggy side, especially if you left them overnight, what I do is I turn on the oven at 350 degrees. I put my parchment paper on top of the cookie sheet, and you can re-crisp them for just a few minutes. I hope that helps. Enjoy your newfound skill of making delicious kale chips. I invite you to spend a little bit more time in the kitchen. I invite you to live a deliciously healthy life. I invite you to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a beautiful day.